Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please open the court.
All rise. Dallas County Commissioner Court is now in session for the month of December 2016 with Honorable Judge Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for invocation.
Well, now, invocation, actually, our indicator will be, you can sit down, because our indicator will be here at 9 o'clock. The indicator is the guest of Commissioner Cantrell. I recognize Commissioner Cantrell at 9 o'clock. But we posted court today at 8:30 to allow time for our employee recognition program, and we have a little breakfast burritos before that. After its conclusion, we'll recess to allow our employees and the guests to leave before we continue with the remainder of the posted agenda. This morning, we're going to recognize the employees who've been singled out by their respective elected officials and department heads as Employee of the Month. One of these outstanding employees will be named as Dallas County Employee of the Year. Throughout the year, 108 employees have been presented with resolutions from Commissioners Court during the month in which they were named Employee of the Month. I'd like to acknowledge Health and Human Services and the Tax Office for nominating employees all 12 months. I'm certain your employees appreciate it. At this time, we would like to recognize those employees by department. Please stand as your name is called and remain standing until we complete all the names in your department. Tyski Randall, Auditor's Office, Tyski Randall. Jury Services, Anita Williams. Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4, number 2, Ophelia Munoz. Criminal Justice, Lynn Wicker, Lauren Kelly, Ray Tawai, Janine Capatillo, Julian LaPere, Laura Edmonds, Nancy Toledo, Miriam Viola, and Makeesh Greer. District Clerk, Sandra Gray, Carmen Moore, Maricela Escamilla, Lula Cooper, Kimberly Ferguson, Patricia Elliott. Facilities, Ron Evans, Gary Pascal, Michael Flowers, Pranusa Bobby Pruthia Palutha. I've got to get you a nickname, man. Lauren Kitchens, William Littleton, Joel Lewis, Michael Gardner, Stephen Gregg, Health and Human Services, Sammy Alcorta, Jeanette Stevens, Derek Wheeler, Robert Castle, Thomas Lewis, and then once again another month, Thomas Lewis, Dr. Christopher Perkins, Rudy Phillips, Spencer Lockwood, Saad Mustafa, Joshua Smuddick, Dr. Christopher Perkins again, Spencer Lockwood, I think that's an again too, maybe. Yeah, it is. Rudolph Phillips, Queen Ping Fu, Sinatra Holmes, Queen Ping Fu again, and Ganesh Savamayer. Information Technology, Terry Clark, Heen Tran, James Westfall, Danny Dunn, Heen Tran again, and Cass Kamabadi. In the Juvenile Department, Keena Edwards, Sonny Abilene, Jeremy Thomason, Ryan Mayfield, Tyrone Hugh, Andrew Ahmed, Fred Jacobs, Terrence Forrest, and Ella Kilgore. In the Public Service, Richard Sepulveda. In Planning and Development, Jimmy Partain. In Purchasing, Ruthie Simpkins. In SWIFTs, Melissa Valguer and Joshua Perdomo. At the Marshals and Security, Corporal Rebecca Smith. Anthony Williams, Sergeant Jesse Mancia, Tyler Decker, Stephen Gray, Neil Blakemore. And at Public Works, Cobra Ferguson, Belinda Hayward, Lee Bauer, Craig Merrick, Harold Martinez, Aubrey Moore, Mary Murray, Samia Zachariah, Marcia Wade, Latoya Harris, Regina Lowry, Matthew Miller, Michelle Washington, Janet Singleton, John Richardson, and Paul Lee. At the tax office, Amber White, Cynthia Herrera, Fatima Green, Yvonne Bunkley, Ricardo Salas, Franklin Garcia, Ronnie Williams, which is the same name, Ronnie, as my father-in-law, Ronnie Williams, Blanca, but I don't think he works here, Blanca Nieto, Diana Flowers, Hector Zambrano, Lori Phillips, Jose Delgado. At the Treasurer's Office, LaDonna Tatum, Daisy Dawn, Danny Jefferson, Vanessa Torres, Rena Lama, and Melissa Ramos. Let's give all these employees a hand. Now,
Did you say you're Warren Gatewood from Health and Human Services?
I just said 108 names, Shab. Yeah. If I didn't, I'll say that one. Yvonne Gatewood from Health and Human Services. Okay. Shay is really the brains behind all this and does all the work on this. So maybe we ought to give Shay a hand too, because she's okay, now from these 108 employees, one person from each department has been selected as a finalist for Employee of the Year. This year, we divided the departments into 4 categories based on scope of service. The categories are constituent services, county operations, courts and justice administration, and law enforcement. At this time, I will announce the finalist for Employee of the Year for constituent services. And by the way, these are not picked by your Commissioners Court. We have an outside team that comes in and looks at this and gives it their time to make these determinations. Will the following finalists please come forward as I call your name? Ron Williams.
Tax.
Lila Cooper from the District Clerks. Ganesh Savara from Health and Human Services. Josh Perdomo from Swifts and the Crime Lab. Jimmy Partain from Planning and Development. And Mary Murray from Public Works.
Want to get a group picture with these finalists, Judge?
All right, let's get that good picture going. Who's doing that? Come up in front, yeah.
Do we have Ron Williams here and Ganesh? Yeah.
Don't be bashful.
Okay.
Well, if we can Photoshop anything, y'all look great. And if you're not here, we'll just put you in the picture.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations, y'all. And at this time, I'll announce the finalists for Employee of the Year for County Operations. Will the following finalists please come forward as I call your name? Hyun Tran from the Information Technologies. Taisky Randall from the Auditor's Office. William Littlejohn from Facilities, Daisy Dong from the Treasurers, Ruthie Simpkins from Purchasing, and Richard Sepulveda from Public Service. We taking a picture, Shane?
Yes.
All right, let's take a picture, y'all. Thank y'all for your service.
Thank you.
Right. At this time, I will announce the finalists for Employee of the Year from Courts and Justice Administration. Will the following finalists please come forward as I call your name? Jeremy Thomason from Juvenile. Ophelia Munoz from Justice of the Peace 4-2. And Nancy Toledo from Criminal Justice. All right, I
All right,
guess.
can we get a picture by yourself?
All right, look it around, let's take a picture. All right, and at this time, I'll announce the finalists for Employee of the Year for Law Enforcement. Will the following finalists please come forward as I call your name? Paul Lee with Sheriff's Traffic. And Michelle Washington with Sheriff's Infirmary. Michelle brought her own cheering section over there. And Tyler Decker with Marshals and Security. Do a recount. Uh-oh, somebody's asking for a recount. Y'all come on over. Let's take a picture. Up here or something.
I'm just getting them judged.
All right, good deal. Got it? All right.
How to get his head?
I move adoption of the resolutions before you. Only the employees of the month and finalist for Employee of the Year. Is there
Second.
either Commissioner, somebody, he also, Commissioner Garcia seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please give one more round of applause. A panel of outside judges was brought in to review the nominations of the finalists and make a final determination for Employee of the Year in each of these categories. We will now announce the 4 Dallas County Employees of the Year. Our Employee of the Year for Constituent Services is Noah Cooper. Come on down, Noah, while I bog on you.
And her supervisors and department heads.
And bring it up, come on, bring it up. Supervisors, department heads,
Make it official.
Noah Cooper. Noah Cooper is responsible for billing all civil and family court cases that come through the Dallas County District Clerk's Office. She's also responsible for interviewing customers and setting up payment plans for one person's needs, needing help with paying their court costs. Once a month, Legal does bulk billing for those case parties that are behind in their court cost payments. Lula sincerely appreciates and cares about great customer service, and this is demonstrated by the many compliments her supervisor and managers receive from customers on a regular basis. Lula has great work attendance and always arrives at least 30 minutes before her start time. Lula's sick hours available total 717 hours as of 10/10/2016. Lula, you need to start taking some bonuses. And I move the adoption of this resolution recognizing Lula Cooper as the Dallas County Employee of the Year for constituent services.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Cooper. Ms. Petrie, would you like to make any remarks?
I certainly will.
Laura is always just doing her job. Coming in at 6 o'clock, riding the bus. When it's dark outside, she comes in alone to make sure that the building gets out. A lot of times it's done manually. She's always just doing her job. I sent her a note thanking her for her work, and she says, "Oh, Ms. Petrie, this is just going to make me work harder." And she's just that type of employee, just doing her job. But she's excellent at it, and we're certainly proud of you, Lula.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to first of all, thank God, because He woke me up this morning. He's the head of my life. I want to thank my manager, my district clerk, my supervisor, the deputy, chief deputy clerk, everybody. But just let me do my job. That's all I want to do. And I want to do it well to the best of my ability. My mama always said, no matter what you do it to the best of your ability. Thank you.
Cooper, you go around and take a picture.
You sit down in my chair. Oh, well, stand out. Stand up. Sorry, they can't see you if you sit down.
Thank you.
All right. It's time for our next winner. Our Employee of the Year for County Operations is Richard Sepulveda. Richard is the construction lead supervisor for the public service program. We don't have any public service in here. He and his crew of 6 men cover a full range of construction jobs for all of the Dallas County buildings from small to extra large. Richard will go to the job site, determine exactly what needs to be done to complete each project from start to finish. Richard has increased the accuracy and productivity of the construction department. He holds vendors and employees to agreements regarding everything from timely delivery dates to compiling specific tasks on the job. He has also raised the morale and attitude of employees. He leads by example, works side by side with his crew, and doesn't expect his crew to do anything he wouldn't do himself. He stands behind his crew and insists that they all stand behind their work, delivering quality and setting high standards of achievement. I move adoption of this resolution recognizing Richard Sepulveda of the Dallas County as the Dallas County Employee of the Year for County Operations. Commissioner Price. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Miles, would you like to say a few words, or Commissioner Price? Either or both?
I'd just like to say that Richard, everything's written in that letter, and when I first met Richard, he first came to construction, it took about 2 years before I even knew that he talked. We did some rework, and I found out he does talk, and I found out that he's a smart individual, he's very work-oriented, and he's very professional. He's good to work with, and some of y'all that's been around the construction end of it and dealt with him, you know that he's professional and he takes care of his business. And he's a good employee for Dallas County. Thank y'all.
Mr. Price?
No, I think Steve has probably said it all. I don't think you realize oftentimes, and whether we're having pipes break and fires or when we feel like we take care of outside of the jail, over 1 million square feet of Dallas County, with very meager resources. It takes all of it. It takes management, and they know my favorite saying is, you can't expect what you don't inspect. And the real challenge in Dallas County is to get everybody to work at the level that Richard does. I'm going to quote my dad as I close. He doesn't have to back up to pick up his check. Thank you, Richard.
Let's get some pictures there. You gonna come back to here? You hey, don't matter. Stay here. He's low maintenance. Thank you. All right. What's that? No. Oh, okay. Here we want. So you say you want to recount? So yes, you're on line.
No. This is the next one.
All right. So our next category is up, and so let's hear it for our 2016 Employee of the Year for Courts and Justice Administration, Jeremy Thomason. I'm Ron Bogan, baby. I just read the piece of paper.
Yes, please. Okay, I got you.
All right. As a court assessment officer, Jeremy is responsible for maintaining a caseload comprising of youth in detention, those residing at home and living out of county, and those pending certification hearings. Jeremy started in the Court Assessment Unit on August 27, 2012, after relocating from Williamson County's Juvenile Department. Jeremy is very conscientious in performing his task. He demonstrates a genuine respect and concern for his clients and their families. Jeremy does not require reminders in carrying out his responsibility. He is very helpful towards his colleagues and demonstrates respect and sensitivity in working with youth and family. I move adoption of this resolution recognizing Jeremy Thomason as the Dallas County Employee of the Year for Courts and Justice Administration. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Smith?
Thank you, but first I really would like to thank all of our nominees because it's hard to narrow down what one person does and give it to someone when everyone does a great job. Mr. Tomlinson has a tough job in the aspect that he's a court assessment officer. So when kids are running for certification, 14-year-old who may be certified to stand trial as an adult, it's his job to advocate and fight for the child so that they can stay in the juvenile system. Interstate compact kids are placed at home. So you have to have that passion and want to keep kids and putting youth first. So we're glad to have that, and Mr. Tomlinson does a great job of advocating for the kids and putting youth first. So thank you on behalf of the Juvenile Department for recognizing him. And Mr. Tomlinson? You're welcome.
I just wanted to say that I enjoy working for Dallas County in the Juvenile Department. It's a big honor for me to be able to have this great time today. I look at this as a great thing that I'm doing for the county, but also look at it as a ministry and just helping the youth that we serve. And I'm thankful for the administration team and Dr. Smith and the supervisors. Everybody works very well together, and it has been an honor. Thank you.
Come on, jump in the middle.
Thank you.
All right. Our next category is going to be law enforcement.
That'll be tough.
Our 2016 Employee of the Year for law enforcement is Michelle.
Need to look at the books again.
He sounds as surprised as people were about Trump. All right. He's not about surprised. Michelle Washington is a detention service manager. She is currently assigned to the release division. She commands the SHOT and medical operations, which is a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour operation. She has 11 sergeants, 218 detention service officers under her command. DSM Washington is a dedicated manager. She goes above and beyond what is required for her position. DSM Washington often has to coordinate with other law enforcement agencies and area hospitals for care and custody of inmates. DSM Washington is an exemplary employee whose dedication to the Sheriff's Department and the citizens of Dallas County is greatly appreciated by her staff and supervisors. DSM Washington is a role model for her staff and many others in her department. She also serves as a member of the Sheriff's Department's Honor Guard. I move adoption of this resolution recognizing Michelle Washington as the Dallas County Employee of the Year for law enforcement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Chiefs? We'll do Chiefs first.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, the commission, for recognizing our employee. Needless to say, Ms. Washington is one of the hardest employees we have in our department. I want to thank her and her colleagues for this event. Ms. Washington.
First of all, I want to thank God. Thank God.
I just come to work and do my job. I've been here 25 years. And I come here and I work just like I just started. Because when you reach retirement, you go retire, or just keep doing your job, but just do it right. I would like to thank my chiefs, Chief Sanders, Captain Turner, my crew. I can't do it without my crew. And thank the sheriff as well. But I got here because of my crew. The people you see behind me, beside me, with them there being my backup, you can do anything when you got a strong team. And I thank God for my strong team. And I want to thank God for the Commissioners Court as well. So thank you.
Mr. Martin, am I correct? Is your dad? Nobody cusses and fusses over Terry Washington. We get the whole report, and she always got something to say. So let me just tell you, I do want to commend her. You know, people talk about that jail, and I tell people all the time, and we all tell them, $11.5 million every month we spend in that jail if we can keep population under 5,500. And when she talks about SHOT team, those individuals going in and out of Parkland and other hospitals, because they don't all use Parkland now. They spread them all over the county, and the sheriff's department is responsible. And this is the crew that on Mondays, they coordinate, they help us. And I'm going to tell you, the largest department, but they help us manage that bottom line. We spend over $130 million every year of your money just to maintain that jail. And it's because of this group. And so I want to join, and hopefully she'll be, I ain't gonna cry. Hopefully this will make her nicer in the meetings to come. I got some tissues.
I did too.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you can come up here. We'll let you come. She can cry and
Come on, Nina.
Come on, man.
Good job. Good job.
All right. Again, congratulations to all our employees. We'll take a brief rest and recess to allow our visitors and all y'all that need to leave and get back to work. And then we'll come back in about 5 minutes, and we'll have, or maybe in 2 minutes, and we'll have our invocation. I'm just stay here.
Very nice.
Thank you, Commissioner. We can reassemble, we'll get started with our regular business. We'll wait for Commissioner. All right, there she is. Let's give Commissioner Garcia just a moment to come back, and we'll get started with our regular agenda.
I guess we can say we got it in before.
I guess so.
We all staying?
All right, and Commissioner all of our commissioners are here, and Commissioner Cantrell has the indicator today. So I'll turn over to Commissioner Cantrell to introduce the person who will give our indicator.
Judge and Commissioners, our guest today is Reverend Pablo Morales, who would come forward with the Grace Church of Richardson. Reverend Morales was born in Santiago, Chile, where he gave his life to Jesus Christ at the age of 6. He obtained his BA in Bible Studies at Rio Grande Bible Institute in Edinburgh, Texas, and graduated with a Master's in Theology from Dallas Theological Seminary. The Lord has led Pastor Pablo, along with his pastoral team, to cultivate a multi-ethnic church among English, Arabic, and Spanish speakers with a desire to reach the nations and the community. Reverend Morales met his wife Sarah while attending Dallas Theological Seminary. They have 3 children, Alex, Sophia, and Max. Pastor, thank you for coming down.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we come to your presence in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. You know, Father, that everything that you have entrusted to us is important. There's nothing insignificant when we serve you. And around this room, Lord, you know that there are so many decisions that are so consequential with so much relevance and implications that go beyond what we can understand. It can be frightening, it can be dividing. That's why we turn to you, because you invite us, Lord, to always ask for wisdom when we need it. And that's what we ask you today, that you will give us the wisdom to think through all these different things that come before us, so that we will not overlook anything that is important, and that for the things that are unseen, that are ahead, that your hand will guide us in such a way that the decisions that are made will be honoring to you and will produce the results that you desire. I ask you, Lord, that you will help us as your servants to always put the most important things in the top priority. To love justice. To love the unity of your people, rather than dividing us in subgroups, pushing for each other's interests. But we come before you as your creation to seek your interests, because they are the ones that are the most important. Ours just pass away, but yours are eternal. So I ask, Lord, that you will grant us not only wisdom, but also the desire to pursue righteousness and justice, to look after the oppressed, the widow, the orphan, the displaced. And as we seek your purposes, may the word of our Lord Jesus become true. That as we seek your kingdom first, everything will be added unto us. Because to do all of these things costs money. Yet you are the provider. And we turn to you also to us for your provision, so that everything that needs to be done to pursue your purposes, as we seek the well-being of this city, that, Lord, you will provide everything needed, whether it be people,
whether it be giftedness, whether it be resources. We also, Lord, think of Daryl. Father, I ask you that you will bring healing to a family, bring healing to a body, bring healing and restoration in your power. Lord, none of these things escape your mind. Nothing escapes your hand. That's why we turn to you with humble hearts. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
All right, and Commissioner Price has 3 resolutions this morning.
Thank you, Judge. The first one is the Dallas County Health and Human Services Award nationally. And I'd ask Mr. Thompson, Director, to come forward. This is a real milestone accomplishment established by the nonprofit, non-governmental public health accreditation board, what we call PHAB. And it works to improve and protect the health and the public by advancing, ultimately transforming the quality of the performance in the nation, state, and local, and the tribal territory. The letter to Mr. Thompson reads as follows. Mr. Zach Thompson, M.A., Director of Dallas County Health and Human Services. Dear Mr. Thompson, on behalf of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, we are pleased to congratulate Dallas County Health and Human Services on achieving accreditation by the Public Health Accreditation Board. Your national accreditation status sends an important message to your partners and community that your organization meets national standards and provides services in a manner that all residents should come to expect from their health department. In addition, because the National Accreditation Program seeks to advance the quality and performance of all health departments, your participation in this program indicates your commitment to the continuous improvement of your health department services. Receiving the PHAB accreditation is an impressive achievement. CDC recognizes the time and effort that leaders and staff members from all levels of your health department have dedicated to this effort. We commend Dallas County Health and Human Services for this extraordinary accomplishment. Dr. Thomas Friedman and Jose Montero, both the Director of CDC and the Director of Office for State, Tribal, Local, and Territorial Support for CDC. And Mr. Thompson?
I wanted to thank the reporter, Daryl. Before you, if you have, given you a replica of this particular plaque that's in front of you. This is what will be placed in Dallas County Health and Human Services, showing the hard work that Dallas County Health and Human Services staff have provided. This was a rigorous process. There's only 5 health departments in the state of Texas that have received accreditation. There's only 144 health departments throughout the nation that have received accreditation, and only 20 state health departments. So having this has demonstrated that we have met the CDC standards as regards to a public health department. This has been one of, I guess, the final things I wanted to always work on was the accreditation. And so we have met that. We had a great team in terms of putting this together. All of our Dallas County Health and Human Services staff worked on the numerous documents that had to be submitted, and weekends and late nights required to submit this documentation. This is not easy. It's not something that you can just submit. Commissioner Price participated in a site visit where they actually sent a team down and did a site visit. Not only do they want to see the documents, but they also want to see what's going on in your health department. And so as I think back 20 years when we started out in this endeavor and what the comments were made, I can stand here to say that all of that was just what it was. We now accredited health department in Dallas County. We should be proud of that, and our citizens should be proud of it. And so thank you, and hopefully you can put your plaque up, and you'll be one of the few commissioners who can have a plaque where your county health department is accredited.
Well, let me just say this. Director Thompson talked about the fact that they did a site visit. They didn't just do a site visit. They queried us. After the site visit, they put us through the test. And his staff stood up to the test. Every once in a while, they let me say something. But for the most part, his staff, they stood up to the test. And so as chairman of Public Health and the committee, I want to join with all the citizens of Dallas County, understanding that we have a premier health department, but we've got premier leadership, and we do feel like we get the quality that we pay for. So thank you very much, Director.
Is it Health Department of the Year?
Health Department of the Year. That's right.
Yes. Well, congratulations, Mr. Thompson. We see it almost every week, the job that you have keeping a county, 2.4 million people healthy and, in the forefront. Couldn't happen without your leadership. So congratulations to you and your team.
I read the letter as opposed, but I'm going to just read the resolution for its passing so that the record will be replete. The Public Health Accreditation Board is a non-profit, non-governmental organization that administers the National Public Health Accreditation Program. The Public Health Accreditation Program was launched by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and aims to improve and protect the health of the public by advancing and ultimately transforming the quality and performance of the nation's state, local, tribal, and territorial public health department. Whereas on November 15, 2016, Dallas County Health and Human Services received national accreditation through PAM and was recognized for its quality, improvement, and illustration of accountability to the public and vigorous promotion to public health. And whereas the peer review accreditation process provides valuable feedback to inform health departments of their strength and areas for improvement in order that they better protect and promote the health of the people they serve in their community, the residents of counties served by a nationally accredited health department can be assured that the health department has demonstrated the capacity to protect the health of their community according to PAM. And whereas public health departments play a critical role in protecting and improving the health of people and communities, the mission of the Dallas County Health and Human Services is to protect the health of the citizens of Dallas County through disease prevention, disease intervention, and through the promotion of a healthy community and environment. And whereas Dallas County Health and Human Services will exhibit the seal of accreditation, which confirms that the department has been rigorously examined and meets or exceeds national standards that promote continuous quality improvement for public health. The seal further ensures that the residents can be confident that their public health system will continue to grow in quality, remain competitive, and be transparent in the day-to-day practices. And whereas the 5-year accreditation status awarded by PAM signifies that the health department is meeting the necessary standards to provide essential public health services in the community in 12 domains of performance that span activities such as community health assessment, surveillance, investigation, health education, enforcement, policy development, emergency response planning, workforce development, quality improvement, and health department management and administration. Now, therefore, be it resolved from the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby congratulate the Dallas County Health and Human Services for receiving national accreditation status through PLAB and applaud Dallas County Health and Human Services staff for diligent, consistent, and exceptional services to the citizens of Dallas County. I so move.
And I proudly second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Judge. The next resolution is that of Anna Cruz. Anna Cruz, is she not here?
She's here.
Okay, come on up. Ann? We got a delegation with you? Yeah, come on. Okay. Judge, good morning. Judge, good morning. Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice where an individual has given long and faithful service to Dallas County. And whereas Ann M. Cruz was born in Dallas, Texas, graduated from Justin F. Kimball High School in 1986, and came to work for Dallas County 2 weeks after her graduation. She has one son. She enjoys baking, decorating cakes, and yard work as her therapy. And whereas Ann received the 2003 Outstanding County Criminal Court Clerk Award from the Dallas Bar Association, and the 2016 Best County Court Coordinator Award from the Dallas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association. She is a member of the Texas Association of Court Administrators, TACA, and whereas Ann faithfully served as Judge Angela King's Court Coordinator of County Criminal Court Number 6 from 2007 to 2016, and whereas Ann began her Dallas County career in June 1986, 2 weeks, in the county clerk's office as a bond forfeiture clerk, and for 21 years went on to work for 7 different county criminal court judges. And whereas Ann has continuously served Dallas County in a position with increasing leadership responsibilities to include Court Clerk 2, Court Clerk 3, Chief Clerk, and Criminal Court Coordinator, where she currently serves. And whereas Ann has served Dallas County continuously and diligently for 30 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Ann M. Cruz for 30 years of faithful service and further expresses best wishes on her retirement. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Judge, you got anything you want to say? Then we'll let Ms. Cruz.
Thank you all so much for recognizing my coordinator and my friend. She's a part of my family. I want to say to her in front of everyone, I love you. I'm going to miss you. Good thing we don't live too far from each other, so long.
Appreciate the recognition. I started, as you say, 2 weeks out of high school, and I thought, oh, I'm not staying. But I guess I fell in love with it. That's what I did for 30.5 years. Came to work with a judge, and I thought, oh, I'll stay a little bit longer. Now it's time to move on. The county's got the best out of me. Now it's time to let the new regime come.
Thank you. Years around here, those are close to dog years. That's, we understand. Evelyn Johnson.
She couldn't make it, but...
Didn't make it? Okay. You sure she gonna retire? Because, Evelyn, okay. Evelyn Johnson, for the record, is a native of Robertson County, Texas, attending Love High School in Brindley, Texas. She graduated from Booker T. Washington High School in Marlin, Texas. She began her journey with Dallas County team in June 1987 in the district clerk's office as a clerk one. And whereas the Dallas County Health and Human Services welcomed Evelyn Johnson in September 1996 as a clerk two in the housing division, and whereas Evelyn Johnson was promoted to fraud clerk four in January of 2000 and has served faithfully and tirelessly until this day. And whereas for 29 and a half years, Evelyn Johnson has been a dedicated, loyal, and committed employee and an intricate part of the Dallas County Health and Human Services. Whereas Evelyn Johnson currently serves as a member of the Dallas NAACP, the Dallas Urban League, and the Maryland, Texas, Booker T. Washington High School Alumni and Ex-Students Association. Whereas Evelyn Johnson has one daughter, a granddaughter, and 3 siblings. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby recommend and commend Evelyn Faye Johnson for exemplary service to the residents of Dallas County and congratulates her on this retirement from Dallas County Health and Human Services, and I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. That'll do it for that, Judge.
All right, and our agenda now calls for presentations, but before I get to the committee report, HR has requested that I take a moment to announce the winners of the Wellness Program drawing.
Hey.
Dallas County Wellness Program began January 1, 2015. Employees have the opportunity to go onto myuhc.com, register, take a wellness assessment, and complete the other necessary health screening activities required to earn their 300 points and $300. To help motivate employees to participate, Commissioners Court approved a small budget for HR to purchase gift items for random drawing giveaways. 6 activity trackers, Fitbits, were purchased and 4 were given away in 2015. This random drawing is for the other 2 items, a Fitbit and a Garmin, however you say that, activity tracker. Eligible employees include all full-time employees who signed up and received their $300 by December 16, 2016. There were over 700 employees who earned $300 dollar awards, and these were payouts for 2016 for a total dollar amount of over $210,000. This is a 40% increase from 2015, with over 500 employees receiving their $300 for a total amount of $153,000. The random drawing was conducted on December 6 by PEBC Director Administrator Diana Conjugate. And the winners are Maria Alejandro and Andrea Keener. And Maria is a clerk 1 in the Sheriff's Department, employed since May of 2015. She hasn't been here long, but she got a prize. And Andrea is a DSO employed with the county since July 2010. Congratulations to our winners.
Yes. I want to thank you, and of course, first and foremost, Mr. Graham, Ernie Graham, because, I mean, the more we have served in PEBC, we realize, how important the wellness of our employees is when it comes not only to a healthy workforce, but also because of the cost of health insurance. And as we know, continues to change and will continue to change. We just reviewed the next wellness program. And Mr. Brown, would you want to say something about how we're going to work this coming year? And actually, I think we have something in the agenda coming pretty soon.
Yes, PEBC is they actually implemented a new wellness program. It will be very interactive with your Fitbits, your phone, and everything to keep track of your progress
progress and activities. You'll sync it straight up to my UAC, so it'll be very much interactive, so I think everybody enjoy it. And the site will be extremely user-friendly this time.
Yes, I mean, you could see pretty much with your mobile device, you will get coins and points for doing trails and all these kind of things, Commissioner Price, that, in the past, I do have to say, it's been very boring just to check in, but now we're really going to have an opportunity to make a difference in our overall health. So I am excited. It's the first time I get excited when I talk about insurances or anything that has to do with them. I've been for 25 years dealing with them. But with that being said, I think this new program will give us not only our current age, but our physical age. And guys, nobody wants to be older than what our current age is. So with that being said, thank you again, Mr. Graham, and we will continue to have, thanks to your department for all the excitement that we have when it comes to health, with, Dallas County Health and Human Services, and now we're behind them. So I appreciate all your work, Mr. Graham.
I'd like to think it's the Fitbit, but Zsa died at 99 with 9 husbands. So I'm kind of rethinking this thing.
Just like me,
Never too late to get another wife.
That's what I'm talking about. We're the first time home. Let's move on.
All right. The HR department is requesting that all elected officials and department heads encourage their employees to go online to myuhc.com, register and take the assessment. It is not about the money, it's about your health. I've submitted to you our final report for the Dallas County Uniform Truancy Policy Committee as an information item for the court today. Are any of the committee members present today? If so, please stand so we can recognize you. Terry, I know you're here.
Judge Victor Lander.
And John Warren, and
Blackburn is here.
Mr. Blackburn, and Dr. Blackburn, and I think that's it, right? Dr. Smith, I already said her. This was a team effort. Shelley, you might as well stand up too. You didn't have a vote, but you did most of the hard lifting. So it was a team effort. Everybody worked really hard, and I want to thank everyone for their hard work on that. So let's give them a round of applause. So I'm going to say a couple of words about truancy and kind of briefly lay this out and see if there are any questions. First of all, I want the record to be clear that always with the truancy courts, from its inception to today, it was created by dedicated professionals, one of whom is sitting directly to my right, Commissioner Cantrell, who had a heart for children and wanted to see children graduate from high school, because graduating from high school gives a child their best opportunity to achieve success in life and be able to support their family and pay for life's necessities. The only way to graduate from high school is to stay in school so that you can have that opportunity. And so back 2005, whenever it was, 2003, at DISD, only half of our children, or our students were graduating within 40 years. And these truancy courts were created. They were so successful that many people felt they were overused. So there have been some modifications consistent with the changes in the state law. And I'm told by Senator Whitmire, Senator West, and others in Austin that our courts have been and remain a model for a truancy court system, and that these changes are being well received by those who are looking at those at the legislature. I want to break down the changes kind of by number grouping. 1 through 4, all of these were passed with the majority of the committee. 1 through 4 are process recommendations and recommendations from specific departments for assets that they would like to be considered. 5 through 11 are changes that my office has already implemented. 12 through 17 are changes that DISD is now implementing, most of which have been implemented. Changes 19 through 24 are changes that we'll bring before either the Commissioners Court in one of these meetings or in the legislative briefing. It's anticipated that those will be put into a bill by the senators that are driving some of the criminal justice reform issues in the Senate. And they'll work out who's the co-sponsor and who's the sponsor of that. And we're asked to have those included in our legislative package. The real meat and potatoes of these changes are that are really the work being done by DISD to get to students who are absent ahead of time. And I want to, Lou Blackburn, I want to commend, who has kind of served in a dual role. He was the Khan Academy representative for charter schools, and he serves on the board of DISD. He's the longest serving member of the board of DISD, and he and Dr. Hinojosa really stepped up and worked on issues, some of which will require legislative changes. We would like to change the definition of truancy, but many of which, as I said, they've already done in their school district. It has been discussed in this court that with the shrinkage of cases, there very well may be, and I'll be working with Mr. Warren and Constable Williams on a joint plan to present to the court as to a contraction. But they have been tremendous partners. Mr. Warren and Roy Williams and Constable Gothard before him have been tremendous partners in this, and I want to give them us an opportunity to go through that thoughtfully and present a plan that with an eye towards having some of that take place in this fiscal year. But with that, we submit these 24 recommendations to continue truancy reform in Dallas County, ensuring our system will be more compassionate towards students and that school intervention is much more effective, making our courts a more rarely used system of last resort. As I said, the report is posted and includes minutes, subcommittee reports, as well as recommendations. And as I think I already mentioned, Senator Whitmire, who's been quoted in the Houston and Dallas papers on these recommendations, and Senator West, who may have been also, were provided copies of this report. I also want to recognize Senator West, who sent Kelvin Bass to every meeting and worked closely with us on this. Are there any questions on the report?
Well, during the judicial management piece a couple of weeks ago, I said something about the report, and while, I can appreciate the report, I think we all know really what the bottom line is and where we need to go in terms of this issue. I think the legislature has basically sent us the signal as to what the expectations are, and so we need to go ahead on and do it. Like I said, the report is nice, but at the end of the day, as I said, the legislature has already signaled how we need to go, and so I just think we need to do in this year's fiscal budget what we need to do.
I think we're in alignment on that, and we'll be working closely with Mr. Warren, with Constable Williams, and we are also working with Senator Whitmire and Senator West's office so that we have, at least from their perspective, a good idea of what a model in their minds also looks like going forward for handling these issues. And DISDs will be involved in that as well, because the hope of Senator, well, I hate to speak for other people, but one of the things that may come from this is some of the recommendations in this report may be a model for potential changes in other places in the state as well. So I think the work that was done here was very thoughtful. Don't want to speak to any other county, but I'm told that no other county took this quite as seriously as Dallas County did, and so we will. I think we're in alignment on that and be working to present something. Any other questions on?
I just have a comment, Judge. As the architect of the truancy courts for Dallas County, going down and getting the legislation, setting up the courts from the ground up, and I appreciate the work that the committee did. I think, as Commissioner Price said, there comes a point in time when you have to look realistically at what the program is and what it does. And basically, the direction that the legislature is going, my recommendation is going to be to close down all the truancy courts in Dallas County, move all those cases back to the JP courts, and I do like the recommendation of the caseworker, and we need to have a floating caseworker, just like we have a floating assistant district attorney that goes around to each court. Now, you can do it with 5 courts, make one primary in each precinct, or you can make it to all the truancy court, all the JP courts, and you can have that caseworker follow the prosecutor, because that's when the caseworker is going to be needed. And I think with the reduction in the number of cases that are taking place in Dallas County now, and even more so in the future, and especially with the restorative justice piece that is being rolled out by the school district and that. So I think clearly that funds, that the dollars that are spent in Dallas County can be better utilized in the JP courts with increased training, the increased caseworker, and I think everybody would be better served, the students, the school districts, as well as the taxpayers of Dallas County. Thank you.
I also want to make some comments. First of all, Judge, thanks to you and the fantastic committee. Judge Landers, always is great to see you. And I think, there's no way to go on with a lot of these recommendations. I mean, the 24, all of them. Most importantly is time, and it makes sense. We have gone through the 360 degrees from the criminalization to the decriminalization, and I think that, I had the opportunity to be with Dr. Smith this last week with a group of citizens at the juvenile department, and it's just heartbreaking to see what has happened to our youth, with some of these truancy courts. I mean, my biggest fear is once that they get into the system, it's hard. Commissioner Price has mentioned it many times, it's a pipeline to the big jail. So we need to do something. This is the right thing to do. And I want to commend, you and the people and all the team that took care of these recommendations. I will be looking into, like Commissioner Cantrell just mentioned, what are the options, where do we go from here on? But nevertheless, my feeling is that, we already passed the worst. It can only get better when it comes to the juvenile and the families that have to go through this. We have seen what these courts do. I mean, we finish with a kid that is not in school, with a parent without a job, because they have to take off days to go through the system. So I'm pleased, and I will definitely be supporting this item. And, like I said, looking into our county and where do we go from there.
I'd like to bring up the end on this as the only person here who has worked in a school district and in fact worked on this issue from the school district's perspective. I really applaud the committee's work and the extra work that the legislature has put into reviewing what are better ways to help the students, because as has been said, it starts very early on to work with them so that they don't get behind, first of all, and to follow it through, to track it through. And then also the commonsensical way that we do address it from the county's perspective of using the resources that we already have in place to do the best job we can. So thank you very much for all your efforts.
Good morning, Claire. I just want to say we are where we are but this will also require a great deal of restructuring, and particularly with the employees that we have, and I would rather we start that sooner than later.
And that's been my position all along.
And I agree with you, and my hope is that you and I and Constable Williams and our staffs working together might bring forth something in February-ish, if that's possible.
January-ish is much better. Well, February is going to be a really tight month for me, but it depends if I get some dates ahead.
Yeah,
We can get multiple dates.
I'll work with you, but my idea is that perhaps we'd have a good way forward, beginning in the spring at the latest. Okay. But I want to be very thoughtful. I know you have a lot more employees in the system than I do, and I know you do as well, Constable Williams, and it's a team effort.
But Judge, okay, but don't keep talking about employees, it's not about employees.
I know, but I just want to work through the system and treat everybody the way we want to be treated. All right, one person I forgot to mention, just to close that out, is this work was done by committees. Former Justice of the Peace and former truancy Judge John Sholden gave tremendously of his time and talent and chaired the first 3 committees. Everyone worked hard on those committees. I hate to recognize anyone because I'm not doing that to the exclusion of the hard work of everyone, but Judge Sholden particularly worked many hours on we had many phone calls and much back and forth on his work, and did a tremendous job on what may seem like the mundane part of the report, but the flow part of the report that took so much time. And of course, I think I've already recognized Michael Hinojosa, who co-chaired with me, or chaired one of the committees, co-chaired one with me, and recognized John Warren, who chaired the charge number 5. There were 6 charges from the state legislature. Judge Sholden chaired 3 of those. John Warren chaired one of those, and Dr. Hinojosa chaired one, and Dr. Hinojosa and I co-chaired the last one. So those people, particularly John Sholden and Hinojosa and Mr. Warren, are deserving of extra appreciation.
One of the reasons that the legislature had to step in is because while there was a design when Commissioner Cantrell went down that road to try to bring into compliance young people in terms of school attendance, a number of judges were locking young people up.
Send them to boot camps and...
They were locking them up. I mean, let's just get... They were locking them up. Parents were having to pay fines. They were talking about taking off from work. They were having to pay fines. I mean, and I think Senator Whitmire and others, they saw. And I'm going to tell you something. One of the greatest offenders in this county was Dallas County. And I'm going to call the judge's name, but we're tracking folks who are locking kids up. And so, the legislature, I guess that's what's really unfortunate. And we've talked about it where we talk about courts and compression and contraction. We got to always wait for the legislature to do it for us. I mean, and I appreciate, but we wouldn't be doing any of this for the most part, if they hadn't put the finger on us.
Well, I do want to say this about that. Shay Cathy in my office is really taken the lead on truancy, and every year since Shay's been doing that, we brought forth recommendations before these things were passed by the legislature, lowering fines, means testing kids, so that their families weren't out exorbitant funds, stopping the directives to apprehend at schools where children would be picked up for past truant conduct on a day when they were actually in school, and many other things as well. I do think it was tremendously helpful pushing reform, some of the things that happened from external forces, but many people here in Dallas County have worked on reform, or not improvements to the courts for the past 6 years. And I don't want to undervalue their efforts today.
No, and I don't mean that. I think the record needs to be very clear. And again, the Appleseed project, most of us across the state would not, had it not been for the Appleseed project. And again, Dallas was one of the premier, offenders. We got calls, even in the JP courts before I even got to truancy. So,
well, there were instances that you could manage, and that's the whole purpose behind the truancy courts. You had one person that was over all those judges because they weren't elected; they were appointed. But let me say this, and I fundamentally disagree with the direction that the legislature is going. You talk about decriminalization. This wasn't criminalization. This was a Class C misdemeanor, just like any other traffic offense in the state of Texas. You don't see them going and saying, oh man, we need to decriminalize traffic offenses for juveniles because it's going to stigmatize them. We made it a Class C misdemeanor on purpose for that to take place. So we did everything that was humanly possible to keep a truant child out of our juvenile system. And that's why we had everything set up the way that we did. So, I think what you're going to find, and I think the legislature will find this also, when they implement, and you run about 5 years into this program, you're going to find that kids are going to be skipping school on an incredible rate. And you can also see when you go to any part of the day when you can't find a child or do something with a child because of parts of days, we've fought those battles. So it's people coming in now that, this is our new form and that kind of stuff, then that's great. But you're going to find that there's a process that we set up that was very effective with young people and getting those kids to where they would graduate. So as the legislature makes those moves, I saw it happen when I was municipal judge on the traffic side of it, when they took away any penalties for young people violating, and none of them, the vast majority of them, stopped paying any fines on their traffic offenses because there wasn't any way to enforce it. And that's the same thing that's fixing to happen to truancy. You've got to have a stick at the end of the tunnel for the schools. The schools are going to do everything they can possibly to get that child back in school and doing what they're supposed to do, but there's so many underlying problems. If you don't have the stick in the system that can help those parents, because the parents are begging for help.
well, they're begging for help, but at the same time, they're being penalized.
Well, not necessarily, because the judges have within their discretion to allow community service and all kinds of other things. It's the management of those judges that makes that determination.
That's my point.
Okay.
That's my point.
But the stake shouldn't be on the parents either.
That's right.
But I love the commissioner, because we need to help those families, and we see it with the juvenile department, with some of the programs that they have, the family help programs, zero recidivism, right, Dr. Smith? Zero. So, I agree with, what we're saying here, the stick has been bigger than the carrot, the red rice. No, we're going to move forward and try to find the best way to do it, Commissioner. I don't know if he's going to have the best way to do it, but no, I get what you're saying. We're getting it, and that's going to be Judge Jenkins' biggest challenge.
Thank you.
And it doesn't have to start with the schools too, because the whole point of it is to keep the kids in school so that in fact they do graduate. Because without the diploma, they are way behind forever.
Okay.
Thank you all. Commissioner Price, do you have any
My presentation, I'm going to keep judicial now, and definitely the update on patient relations report. I'm now working, Judge Roden and I are working, and I'm going to keep that on there because I expect them to come forward.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go to our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Second.
Let's give that just a second to get in there. All those in favor, push your button and signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll take a a motion on court orders J1 through 67 and addendum 68 through 70, pulling 32 for a separate vote. Do I have a motion?
Judge, I also need to pull 69
Sorry.
until January 3rd.
Okay. So restating that again, that would be J1 through 67 and addendums 68 through and 70, pulling 32 for a separate vote and pulling 69 to January. Do I have a motion?
So staff is putting 69, Mr. Martin?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll second. There's a motion by Commissioner Press, second by Commissioner, Cantrell.
I have just a couple of little questions, because it's now a good time to ask Mr. Martin. Number 11, the architectural engineering IDIQ, what specifically is that going to do? Do you know?
Mr. Bazan?
That's your day-to-day
Could we pull 29?
needs. A lot of what the work orders are usually project-based.
I told Mr. Martin.
This is more miscellaneous, like if there's a repair or they're going to make an accommodation for an ADA design, they would use this work order. So it's more miscellaneous.
So that's why it was rather, I put
Yes.
non-descriptive.
All good.
Any problems, to still have to go back for court.
Okay, sure.
So,
Also, is Friesen Nichols going to be doing the replacement on the,
This is for the design and the specifications.
29, 32.
so it doesn't even pull, it's not even the repair or replacement?
Right.
It's just the design?
29, 32.
It'll have to go through purchasing and procurement for the actual
I
work.
get that, I appreciate that.
Okay. Let me ask for a formal amendment to also pull 29 for a separate vote.
I was
Second.
I just didn't.
Okay, to the extent that it was needed then, it's didn't change.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioner Hunter.
Certainly. All right. Any further comments or questions?
Call the question.
Hearing none, the question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is on court order 29?
Second.
Right, there's been a motion and a second on court order 29. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
The motion carries 4-1 with one nay from Commissioner Garcia.
She's making that. Commissioner Cantrell, I second. Okay, now.
All right.
Okay, now. Court order 32, so moved.
Second. Okay, we got that right now. Okay, any discussion? In discussion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Catching up with you.
I think she did.
No, she's on 29. She's fixing 32.
Oh, you're right.
A motion. Cantrell second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any noes, any abstentions? I abstain. All right, motion carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions. That concludes those because 69 was pulled for another.
I have a couple of miscellaneous items, Judge, if you will. On your mileage rate that was published, it was actually a typo. It was published as 53.3 cents per mile for 2017. It's actually 53.5 cents per mile for 2017.
That's the federal rate?
Yes.
Yes.
Just I also wanted to give big kudos, I know that today, we saw some of our facility departments, some of the employees of the year, but facilities management is in our agenda, is item number 5. And I just want to thank, Mr. Bazan, of course, Mr. Martin, and all the team in the committee for, these recommendations. As you can see, this is the the last quarter reports of everything that's been going on with strategic planning that we set for, this year. I couldn't be, more proud of the work that facilities has been doing, where we were and where we're now. I think that, but we still have some way to go. We are going in the right direction, and I want to thank the team. I know Mr. Lilly is retiring, and we're losing some of the leadership there, but hey, I feel very optimistic that we're grooming some of the best employees in the future when it comes to our facilities department. So be patient with us, we're still working on it.
Okay, and let me just recognize real quickly my city manager of Hutchins, Mayor Sherman. He's got an introduction to the new southern sector with regards to
Commissioner Price, Judge, Commissioners, thank you. I thought it important to bring our new Public Works Director here, Mr. Kamaran Smith. He has a bachelor's in business administration. He's a candidate for master's in public administration. He spent 12 years with the city of DeSoto, 12 years with the city of Arlington. He is married to Chandra Tanisha Smith. That's one of the greatest things about him. 21 years, he has 3 children, 1 grandchild, and I got to tell you, I'm excited about what he's going to do. Certainly, I believe he's going to be a city manager somewhere in this area, but I'm going to take advantage of the time that we have with him. He is, as DeSoto will tell you, the All-American City of DeSoto will tell you, that he is the main reason that our medians look so nice. And DeSoto was recently recognized as one of 5 cities in the state with the National Recreation and Park Accreditation. And big reason is because of this man behind me, Kamaran Smith, our new Public Works Director. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce him to the county, our major partner.
welcome. And he's well-known within public works circles, and we welcome you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to go back to the mileage for just a moment and make a comment. Sitting with my family last night, we watched the interview of the First Lady from Oprah, as maybe some of you did, and it made me think back to all the changes that I've seen over the 8 years, the last 8 years, or at least the last 6 years since I've been here. You really start paying attention to the bottom line for middle class and working class families when you're in these positions like those up on this dais. And we've seen our energy system drastically improve. We've seen the wind power come in. We're getting record low rates through our P3 collaborative on our energy here. Gasoline prices have gone from above $3 a gallon to down to $1.94 a gallon. I have 2 family acquaintances that are about to have a big impact on the price of gasoline. One is Rex Tillerson, who's been so great with CASA, and the other is Governor Rick Perry, who works so closely with us on West Nile virus, Ebola, and others. So it's $1.94 today. Game on, guys. Let's see where we are in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Let's keep those gas prices low, because it's not about oil company profits, it's about middle-class families.
So you're advocating for energy independence for America? That's what I think I hear you saying. I think that's you. Bravo, Judge. Make America great.
Thank you. Jesus, I was trying not to go there. While the judge was looking at television, some of us were working. And I just want to say to all of those who had our first unincorporated meeting on last evening, I want to say thank you to the staff. Public Works, Judge Roden was there, along with the Sheriff's Department, Marshal De Los Santos, Mr. Martin, staff from both Commissioner Garcia's office and the judge's office, and of course Commissioner Daniels joined us. Senator West joined us, along with representatives from State Representative Helen Giddings' office. So we had a very thoughtful, informative meetings, a lot of takeaways in terms of what we've got to do out there. We've got 500 homeowners in that first and second phase that have some real challenges. And we're going to have to step up and assist them. I talk about the model for the rest of Dallas County. That's what we're going to have to do. They found themselves in areas that they had nothing to do with. They try to be good citizens, and they're caught between a rock and a hard place. And so,
I want to thank Commissioner Price, and obviously, again, like he just said, staff, because, I mean, this is uncharted territory for Dallas County, and it's going to take a lot of work, it's going to take a lot of communication with our constituents, and those unincorporated areas, and more importantly, thinking out of the box with, tighter budget. And I want to thank also Fire Marshal De Los Santos, but of course, all the staff that is always there, Mr. Losberg, that, putting all the information. I know sometimes as an elected official it's hard, especially in today's political times, for us to be listened. But I think that when we have great community relationships, usually that message gets across a lot easier. So I just want to wish you all, happy holidays, Feliz Navidad, and to all my colleagues as well. It's been a pleasure working with you. I look forward to continue doing it next year. Thank you.
and as the preacher prayed for Mr. Thomas, Darrell Thomas, he is in the hospital with some heart challenges, and just see, he had the good sense to follow and listen to his body, and stopped before he took a journey home, and as such, they redirected him to emergency.
Well, the same thing happened to our Road and Bridge Force Superintendent, Mr. Aguilar. He had the good sense, like you said, to follow his body, and he is in great shape. Report, he got out of the hospital yesterday, so doing well.
I'd like to go back just a moment, though, to what you were talking about the unincorporated areas and the work that Dallas County is doing on that, because there's been comment at a variety of times that Dallas County has been too passive and that we have not stepped up. And last night's meeting, to me, showed that the anticipation of putting together the strategic plan and taking the 5-6 different departments that have dealt with parts of unincorporated area services and bringing them into one area so that citizens will only have to go to one spot now in order to have a lot of questions answered. It's obviously not going to take care of all of the situations that affect the unincorporated areas, but it certainly makes the variety of services that Dallas County is involved in a lot easier for citizens to work with. And so that was the one takeaway that I got from last night's meeting, is the working together and having that in mind, anticipating the situations that are going to have to be addressed. So thanks for the leadership and bringing the folks together, but then also that we were already at least a step ahead, and I'm looking forward to hiring the people needed to
I think that would work, but there are a lot of challenges out there. We've got a lot of work to do in those communities, particularly that one. So, kudos to Commissioner and Senator West for bringing this meeting together, because we would have no idea if we had not had that meeting. Commissioner Price had not called that meeting, and we had an opportunity to speak to those residents, what their huge challenges are. So, and there are people, there are residents, so we have to address them.
Well, but let the record be clear, some of those are state challenges, not just county.
That's the reason the senator was there.
Exactly.
He recognized that. He asked us to follow through, place him on notice. We've already generated some of that, what Judge Roden had last night. He asked for some very specifics. We've already said, in fact, some of the residents from last night has already followed through this morning on the email chain, and so we forwarded that to the senator. So, the group we had there last night was serious, and they were the real representatives.
Yeah.
Couple other things. Mr. Thompson will be traveling to Austin for the Texas Association of City and County Health Officials meeting on December 21st, so I have to travel for that. And also, I just want to recognize again, we had jail sanitation last Monday. Our jail population was hovering around 5,400, and Mr. Ethel Pugh said in the meeting that he would have it down to 5,100 by the end of the week. We are at 5,188. So kudos to him, kudos to Ron Stretcher and the team for, again, that's the hard work that goes on behind the scenes to get the people out of the jail. So, and that's the bottom line. It's the dollars. So. That's all I have, Judge.
One speaker.
You have one speaker.
All right. Well, Bill, please read the rules of decorum for our public speaker.
All Commissioner Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and registered speakers may be removed. They are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
All right, and our sole speaker today is Ms. Shanta Claiborne. Ms. Shanta Claiborne, Ms. Shanta Claiborne. It appears that she is not here, so we do not have any speakers today. This court will now recess for its closed session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code as previously posted. Any action as a result of the closed session will take place in a subsequent open session. We begin that closed session in 1 minute.
I enjoy sitting in your seat. It's really comfortable. It is. Yeah.
We are adjourned. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.